divine justice, the storm, the unraveling, the restoration. There is always a silence before the storm, not the kind that instills immediate terror, but a profound quietude that serves as an undeniable warning. In these moments, time itself seems to slow, the very air thickens with an unseen energy, and the heavens themselves lean in to listen. Those who once observed your journey, particularly those who actively worked against you, mistakenly believed that your withdrawal signified loss. They misconstrued your periods of profound silence as an act of surrender, your deliberate stillness as an admission of defeat. But they were gravely mistaken. This silence was never an indicator of weakness. It was, in fact, a powerful signal. It was the solemn sound of the divine rising to stand in your defense. When you made the conscious decision to stop explaining yourself, when you ceased to justify your every move to those who would never truly understand, that was precisely when heaven began to move on your behalf. Your retreat from the fray was not an act of surrender to their will, but an act of profound obedience to a higher calling. Every single step back you took was a sacred boundary, meticulously drawn and divinely sanctioned by unseen hands. For what felt like an eternity, you generously poured your peace into their chaotic lives, offering a grace they consistently failed to value, yet upon which they covertly depended. You became the unwavering calm amidst their personal storms, the unseen covering that shielded them from the very turbulent winds they themselves had conjured. But there comes a season for everything, and when your season of carrying their burdens ended, heaven quietly recalled its protection. The grace they had so carelessly mistook for a permanent fixture was, in truth, only borrowed. And as is the nature of divine things, when grace is abused, when it is taken for granted and trampled upon, it quietly, almost imperceptibly, returns home to its source. At first, the signs of this withdrawal were subtle, a message left unanswered, a meticulously laid plan that inexplicably faltered, a once close friend who gradually, inexplicably, grew distant. These were small, seemingly innocuous occurrences that could easily be dismissed as mere coincidences, yet they were, in a deeper truth, the direct consequences of their actions. When a manipulator, accustomed to feeding off your inner calm, suddenly loses access to your inherent peace, they simultaneously lose the protective shield that had inadvertently kept them safe from the storm of their own making. What they arrogantly labeled as control was in reality nothing more than your boundless compassion, holding their fragile world together. And the moment you ceased to respond, the elaborate illusion they had so carefully constructed began its inevitable, painful crumble. Heaven, in its infinite wisdom, does not always announce its judgments with booming declarations. Sometimes it simply and methodically rearranges the pieces. The metaphorical locks change, the unearned favor lifts, and the protective covering ends. For the very first time, they are forced to confront the world, naked and exposed, without the grace that once enveloped and shielded them. The unraveling of their carefully crafted reality never commences with a sudden, deafening thunderclap. Instead, it begins in soft, almost imperceptible whispers, tiny, easily forgotten moments that go utterly unnoticed by those who have never truly learned to listen. They, in their self-deception, mistake this pregnant silence for continued safety, believing that the narrative still exclusively belongs to them. But in the quiet halls of eternity, heaven has already rewritten the script. They continue to perform their charade for an audience that no longer offers applause, for a stage that has begun to tilt precariously. The same practiced smile, the same glib words, the same superficial charm, all of it now feels hollow, an empty echo, because charm devoid of inherent truth inevitably decays. Slowly, inexorably, the entire empire of illusion they painstakingly built begins to tremble. What was meticulously constructed on the shifting sands of deceit now starts to corrode from within, not with an explosive collapse, but with a slow, grinding erosion. Every lie they uttered begins to rust. Every carefully maintained mask develops intricate cracks, and every meticulously crafted facade weakens under the relentless, crushing weight of undeniable reality. Initially, they will vehemently label it as betrayal. They will accuse you of turning people against them, of orchestrating their downfall. They will curse your name, your steadfast silence, your deliberate distance. But what they are truly, desperately fighting against is not you at all. It is the inescapable force of revelation. Truth, once unleashed into the world, possesses an unstoppable momentum. It never retreats. It moves quietly, yet persistently, like water ceaselessly wearing away at solid stone, patiently uncovering all that was never truly real. People who once hung on their every word, captivated by their superficial magnetism, now begin to hesitate. The very eyes that once adored them, blinded by their performance, now begin to see with startling clarity. The atmosphere itself shifts palpably around them, for when divine grace departs, even the very air they breathe seems to change. The light they so adeptly reflected was never truly their own, and now that it has been withdrawn, everything around them appears dim, shadowed, and devoid of genuine brilliance. This unraveling is not chaos. It is, in its purest form, clarity. It is heaven meticulously restoring balance with surgical precision, exposing with unwavering accuracy what was inherently false and revealing with an almost poetic elegance what had been so carefully hidden. When God declares, "Enough," he does not need to shout. He simply allows the illusion to finally, irrevocably collapse under its own unsustainable weight. When heaven chooses to move in judgment, it does not announce its presence with a roaring tempest. Instead, it subtly, yet powerfully rearranges. There is no dramatic lightning in the sky, no grand, divine spectacle meant for human consumption. There is only the steady, inexorable rhythm of cause returning to its original source. For years, they sowed seeds of deception and audaciously labeled their harvest as wisdom. They wounded countless others and brazenly called their actions strength. They built entire sprawling empires out of borrowed grace, mistaking God's infinite patience for explicit permission to continue their destructive path. But grace, when systematically abused and disregarded, ultimately withdraws. And when it departs, it takes with it the inherent peace it once bestowed, leaving behind only the stark, unvarnished truth they so vehemently refused to confront. They, in their ongoing denial, will call it misfortune, bad luck, or an unfortunate turn of events. But those who walk in genuine communion with God recognize it for what it truly is, an undeniable, divinely ordained consequence. Heaven's justice does not arrive with the dramatic flourish of thunder. It arrives with the quiet, undeniable force of order being restored. Doors that once swung open freely at their mere presence now remain stubbornly closed, impervious to their charm. the magnetic charisma that once effortlessly drew others into their orbit now, ironically, repels them, pushing them away with an unseen force. The subtle manipulation that once held sway, allowing them to control narratives and people, now ironically traps them within their own intricate web of deceit. Every single lie they ever uttered begins to construct invisible yet impenetrable walls around them until they find themselves imprisoned within the very architecture of their own dishonesty. Yet this is not revenge, nor is it a cruel retribution. This is, in its truest essence, restoration. Every imbalance, no matter how deeply entrenched, must eventually correct itself. Every false elevation, every unwarranted rise to power must eventually return to ground level, to a place of honest humility. Pride must descend so that genuine humility can finally, authentically rise. God's judgment is never reckless, never haphazard. It is precise, profoundly poetic, and always at its core merciful. Every sleepless night they now endure, tossing and turning in their anxiety, perfectly mirrors the countless nights you cried out in silent anguish. Every door that now slams shut in their bewildered face echoes the profound dignity they once so callously denied you. Still, this is not an act of cruelty. It is rather mercy profoundly disguised as consequence. Judgment, in this divine context, is not the absolute end of his patience. It is paradoxically the transformative beginning of their awareness. It presses relentlessly upon the proud, unyielding heart until it is finally compelled to remember the forgotten virtue of humility. And as they wrestle in their lonely solitude with the profound weight of what they have lost, you, on the other hand, begin to feel the quiet, undeniable turning of restoration beneath your very feet. For every precipitous fall of pride, there is a corresponding miraculous rise of grace that is the exquisitely delicate, yet powerfully undeniable balance of divine justice. One falls by the bitter fruit of deceit, while another rises triumphantly by the unwavering power of faith. The storm, then, does not arrive with the malicious intent to destroy. Its true purpose is to reveal. They, in their ongoing bewilderment, will continue to label it as betrayal, as inexplicably bad luck, as a string of unfortunate misfortunes. But heaven, in its perfect timing, has simply ceased to actively protect their elaborate illusion. The once thunderous applause fades into an eerie silence, the blinding spotlight dims, and their old, tired tactics no longer possess any power or efficacy. The charm that once effortlessly disarmed and captivated now, strangely unsettles and repels. The confident bravado that once convinced and swayed now, instead, exposes their inherent emptiness. The resonant echo of their perceived control fades into a rising tide of panic, and in the profound, unsettling silence that follows, they are finally, inevitably forced to confront the one thing they have spent a lifetime meticulously avoiding, their own unvarnished reflection. The masks they wore have fallen away. The adoring audience has vanished. What remains is nothing but the raw, unblinking truth, standing utterly still, patiently waiting, unflinching in its gaze. It does not flatter or condemn. It simply profoundly reveals. This is precisely where mercy, in its most profound form, chooses to hide in the breaking, in the quiet, poignant moment where the performance finally ends and the deeply buried conscience begins, ever so subtly, to stir. Every single wound they inflicted upon others now becomes a precise mirror reflecting back at them. Every twisted, weaponized word they uttered now twists and turns uncomfortably within their own minds and hearts. The pain they so carelessly spread becomes the very pain they must now inescapably face head-on. But even in this crucible of self-confrontation, God's hand is not actively against them. Rather, it is powerfully upon them. This breaking is not a punishment designed to inflict suffering. It is instead a profound invitation and urgent call to introspection and change. The storm, in this sacred context, is not a force of indiscriminate destruction. It is rather a precise divine surgery. God meticulously dismantles the fortress of pride so that his transformative grace can finally enter the inner chambers that arrogance had once so fiercely walled off. They are forced to see the faces they hurt, to hear the words they weaponized, to confront the memories they deliberately distorted. Shame, raw and overwhelming, comes first, followed by a profound, humbled silence. And then, slowly, something new begins to emerge, a stirring of genuine repentance. This is the ultimate paradox of divine storms. What feels in the agonizing moment like a definitive end is often, in truth, the very beginning of true understanding. The same relentless rain that once metaphorically drowned others now miraculously washes them clean. God shakes, not with the intention to destroy, but with the profound purpose to awaken. If they genuinely surrender, truly, deeply surrender the very fire that once terrified them, the fire of consequence becomes the sacred flame that purifies them. Because even within the framework of divine judgment, there is always an undercurrent of profound mercy, and even the most tumultuous storms are imbued with a sacred, redemptive purpose. Heaven never exposes to simply shame. It exposes ultimately to redeem. And then, one day, almost imperceptibly, the relentless winds begin to calm. The thunder, once deafening, softens into a distant rumble. What remains is a profound stillness, not the unsettling stillness of emptiness or desolation, but the deep, resonant stillness of completion. The chaotic noise that once pervaded your world is gone. The oppressive weight that clung so stubbornly to your heart has finally, mercifully lifted. You wake up one morning and realize with a profound sense of liberation, you are no longer actively fighting. The memories of the struggle remain etched into your consciousness, but they have miraculously lost their power to wound, to inflict fresh pain. They have, instead, transformed into sacred testimonies, irrefutable evidence of divine protection and intervention. You are no longer the same person you were before the storm's tempestuous arrival. You have emerged stronger, quieter, and infinitely deeper. You speak less, yet every word you utter now carries a profound sense of peace and wisdom. You are able to love without fear, without reservation, because you have finally, truly understood the profound difference between mere human attachment and the boundless, transformative power of divine grace. Meanwhile, those who once thrived and prospered on the fragile foundation of illusion now stand utterly alone, adrift in the desolate ruins of their own self-created storm. The mirror, unforgiving in its honesty, shows them the profound emptiness that always lurked behind their carefully constructed mask. Their perceived power was never true power at all. It was merely a clever, deceptive projection. And now, with no one left to manipulate, no carefully crafted mask left to hide behind, they are finally painfully forced to meet themselves for the very first time, stripped bare of all pretense. But that arduous, soul-searching journey is no longer yours to carry, nor is it your responsibility to oversee. Their story, with all its complexities and consequences, now belongs exclusively to God. Your story, however, belongs triumphantly to restoration. Divine justice, in its purest, most profound essence, is not about inflicting revenge. It is fundamentally about profound revelation. It does not seek to humiliate or diminish. It seeks, ultimately, to heal. Every single tear you cried, every drop of sorrow shed, has now transmuted into profound wisdom. Every betrayal you endured has become a sharpened tool of discernment, allowing you to see with greater clarity. Every scar, once a mark of pain, now shines with an undeniable, sacred purpose. The greatest victory was never their dramatic downfall. It was, in fact, your miraculous, resilient resurrection. You stand as living, breathing proof that what was explicitly designed and intended to destroy you was in the grand tapestry of divine providence, ultimately used to define you in a new, more powerful way. The storm did not end your journey. Instead, it introduced you profoundly and irrevocably to the one who possesses the ultimate power to calm all storms. This, then, is the enduring justice of heaven, not a dramatic spectacle designed for human observation, not a vengeful act of retribution, but a profound and unshakable peace. It is the kind of peace that cannot be rattled or disturbed, precisely because it no longer depends on the fickle, ever-changing circumstances of the world. Instead, it depends entirely on an unshakable presence, the abiding, eternal presence of God Himself. When you stand firmly rooted in that profound peace, when you look back over the landscape of your past and clearly see how every single tear became a beacon of light, you finally grasp the undeniable, liberating truth. Heaven was never truly silent. It was, in fact, always working meticulously, purposefully behind the scenes. Every quiet, seemingly uneventful moment was an act of divine precision. Every perceived delay was, in reality, sacred timing unfolding according to a perfect plan. And now, in the profound, settled stillness that inevitably follows the storm, you finally hear His whisper, soft, steady, eternal, and utterly profound. Be still. You are free. The storm is over.